August 6, 1945, 8:15 a.m. Hiroshima, Japan. A single B-29 superfortress flies at 31,000 feet. The Enola Gay, named after the pilot's mother. In its bomb bay, one device, nicknamed Little Boy. Weight, 9,700 pounds. At 8:15 and 17 seconds, the bomb drops. 43 seconds later, at 1,800 feet above the city, it detonates. The temperature at the hypocenter reaches 7,000 degrees Fahrenheit, hotter than the surface of the sun. A pressure wave moves outward at the speed of sound, destroying everything within a mile. In one instant, 70,000 people are dead. 70,000 more will die in the weeks that follow, and the world will never be the same. This is the story of how it was built, the most secret project in history, the most expensive weapons program ever attempted, the race that changed the nature of war forever. The Manhattan Project. To understand the Manhattan Project, you must start in 1938, in a laboratory in Berlin, December 1938. German chemists Otto Hahn and Fritz Strassmann bombard uranium atoms with neutrons. The uranium atom splits. Fission. When the atom splits, it releases energy, enormous energy, and it releases more neutrons. Those neutrons hit other uranium atoms. Those atoms split. More energy, more neutrons. A chain reaction. In theory, if you had enough uranium and the chain reaction was fast enough, you could release more energy in 1/1,000,000th of a second than 1,000 tons of TNT, a bomb of unimaginable power. The scientists understand immediately what this means, and some of them are terrified. January 1939. The news reaches America. Physicists at Columbia University and other institutions begin working through the implications. Enrico Fermi, Leo Szilard, Edward Teller, Eugene Wigner, all European refugees, all Jews, all fled Nazi Germany or fascist Europe. They know Hitler. They know the Nazi regime. They know that German scientists are working on this problem. If Hitler gets an atomic bomb first, the war is over. Europe is enslaved. Perhaps the world. They need to warn Roosevelt. But how do you warn the President of the United States? You ask Albert Einstein. August 2nd, 1939, 1 month before Germany invades Poland. Leo Szilard and Edward Teller drive to a small rented house on Long Island. They meet with Albert Einstein. Einstein listens as Szilard explains fission, the chain reaction, the theoretical bomb. Einstein is shocked. "I never thought of that," he says. Szilard asks him to sign a letter to President Roosevelt, warning him about German nuclear research, urging America to begin its own program. Einstein signs. The letter reaches Roosevelt in October. Roosevelt reads it. This requires action. But the initial program is tiny. $6,000, a small committee, research at a few universities, not enough, and everyone knows it. The pace accelerates in 1941. British scientists Otto Frisch and Rudolf Peierls calculate the critical mass for a bomb. They're finding about 1 kilogram, roughly 2 pounds. Before this, many assumed you'd need tons of uranium, an impractical bomb. But 1 kilogram? That's buildable. The Maud report reaches America in July 1941. The conclusion, an atomic bomb is practically achievable, probably within a few years. Then Pearl Harbor, December the 7th, 1941. America enters the war. The question is no longer, should we build an atomic bomb? The question is, can we build it before Germany does? June 17, 1942. President Roosevelt makes the decision. Full-scale development of an atomic bomb. Whatever it costs, whatever it takes. The program is assigned to the Army Corps of Engineers, the Manhattan Engineer District, the Manhattan Project. The officer chosen to command it, Brigadier General Leslie R. Groves. Groves is 46 years old, an engineer. Just finished overseeing construction of the Pentagon, built in 16 months. He knows how to build big things fast. When assigned to the Manhattan Project, he's not happy. He wants a combat command. Instead, he's told to build a weapon no one has ever built before, using physics still being developed, in secret. While fighting a war, he accepts and throws himself into it completely. The Manhattan Project faces 3 enormous problems. Problem 1, Uranium. Natural uranium is mostly U-238. Only 0.7% is U-235, the fissile material needed for the bomb. To make a bomb, you need highly enriched uranium, 90% pure U-235. Separating the isotopes requires gaseous diffusion or electromagnetic separation, both enormously energy-intensive, both requiring massive industrial facilities. The solution? Build the Clinton Engineer Works at Oak Ridge, Tennessee, a city of 75,000 people, built in 18 months, 3 massive plants processing uranium around the clock, using more electricity than some entire states. Problem 2, plutonium. The scientists discover an alternative path. Bombard U-238 with neutrons in a nuclear reactor, and you create plutonium-239, also fissile, also usable in a bomb. The solution? Build nuclear reactors at Hanford, Washington, 3 massive reactors on the Columbia River, 50,000 workers, producing plutonium. Problem 3, the bomb design itself. For uranium, the solution is a gun-type design. Fire one piece of U-235 into another. Combined mass goes critical. Chain reaction, explosion. Relatively simple. The scientists are confident it will work without testing. For plutonium, much more complicated. Plutonium contains contaminants that cause pre-detonation in a gun-type design. The solution? Implosion. Surround a sphere of plutonium with conventional explosives. Detonate all explosives simultaneously. The shock wave compresses the plutonium, makes it go supercritical. Simultaneously, that's the key word. The explosives must detonate within microseconds of each other. This requires a test. The Center of Weapons Design Work, Los Alamos, New Mexico, a remote mesa in the desert, 7,200 feet above sea level. Here in 1943, the Army builds a secret city. J. Robert Oppenheimer leads the scientific effort. He's 38 years old, a theoretical physicist from Berkeley. Not the most famous scientist on the project, but he has a rare ability. He can organize genius, coordinate competing egos, keep brilliant, difficult people working together. Niels Bohr, Enrico Fermi, Hans Bethe, Richard Feynman, John von Neumann, Edward Teller. Nobel laureates, brilliant minds, strong personalities. Oppenheimer keeps them focused. Security is absolute. Los Alamos is sealed. Scientists live there with their families, behind fences, mail censored, phones monitored. They can't tell anyone where they are or what they're doing. The entire city doesn't officially exist. It's classified as a post office box, P.O. Box 1663, Santa Fe, New Mexico. The scale is staggering. By 1944, the Manhattan Project employs 130,000 people at 37 different sites across the United States and Canada. Total cost, approximately $2 billion, equivalent to about $30 billion today, and almost no one in government knows about it, including the Vice President of the United States, Harry Truman. Congress doesn't know what they're funding. Appropriations hidden in other budget items. When Truman, then a senator, investigates unusual Army spending, Secretary of War Stimson meets him privately. Top secret project. Can't say what it is. Please stop investigating. Truman stops. He won't learn the full truth until he becomes president. April 1945, 13 days after taking office. What about Germany? The Germans had the best physicists in the world. Werner Heisenberg, Otto Hahn. They started earlier. Why didn't they get there first? 3 reasons. First, Hitler's Jewish physics policy. The Nazis dismissed quantum mechanics and relativity as Jewish science. Unworthy of true Germans. The best nuclear physicists, Jewish, or associated with Jews, all fled Germany. They ended up at Los Alamos. Second, Heisenberg's critical calculation error. He miscalculated the critical mass by a factor of 100. He thought you needed tons of U-235, not kilograms. With tons, the bomb was impractical. He never corrected the error. Third, Allied sabotage and bombing. Norwegian commandos destroyed the Vemork heavy water plant in 1943, essential for German nuclear research. The Alsos mission, following Allied troops through Europe, captured German scientists and assessed their program. Their conclusion by late 1944: Germany is nowhere close, years behind America. The race was never as close as feared. But the Americans didn't know this until 1944. They worked for years under the assumption Germany might get there first. That fear drove everything. December 2nd, 1942, Chicago, Illinois. Under the west stands of Stagfield Stadium at the University of Chicago, a structure of graphite blocks and uranium, 20 feet wide, 20 feet high. Chicago Pile 1, the world's first nuclear reactor. Enrico Fermi directs the experiment. The control rods are slowly withdrawn. Neutron counters click faster, faster, faster. 4:21 p.m. The reactor achieves criticality, the world's first self-sustaining nuclear chain reaction. It runs for 28 minutes. One scientist opens a bottle of Chianti. They pass it around, drinking from paper cups. In silence, Arthur Compton calls James Conant in Washington. Coded message: the Italian navigator has just landed in the New World. How were the natives? Very friendly. The nuclear age has begun. Spring 1945, Germany surrenders May 8th. But at Los Alamos, work doesn't stop. Japan must be brought to surrender. Without an invasion that military planners estimate would cost 1 million American casualties and millions of Japanese. The implosion bomb design is extraordinarily complex. Thousands of parts, explosive lenses machined to precise tolerances, all detonating within microseconds. Some scientists are having doubts. Germany is defeated. Why continue? A petition circulates, signed by Szilard, Frank, and others. Don't use the bomb without warning. Demonstrate it first. Give Japan a chance to surrender. The petition reaches Secretary Stimson, is reviewed by the interim committee. The committee decides, use it, without warning, on a city. July 16th, 1945. Trinity test, Alamogordo, New Mexico. 5:29 a.m., the world's first nuclear explosion. The fireball rises, white hot, a sphere of fire a mile wide, then the shock wave, hitting observers 16 miles away, knocking some off their feet. The mushroom cloud rises 40,000 feet. Kenneth Bainbridge, the test director, turns to Oppenheimer. Now we're all sons of bitches. Oppenheimer thinks of the Hindu sacred text, the Bhagavad Gita. He later quotes, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." Yield, 21 kilotons, equivalent to 21,000 tons of TNT. The test tower is vaporized. The desert sand fused into green glass. Trinitite, still slightly radioactive today. The bomb works perfectly. President Truman has been in office 3 months. He inherited the war. He inherited the project. Now he must make the hardest decision of the 20th century. The interim committee recommends use the bomb on a Japanese city without prior warning to achieve maximum shock and force surrender. Truman approves. In his diary, he writes, "We have discovered the most terrible bomb in the history of the world. Anyway, we think we have found the way to cause a disintegration of the atom." An experiment in the New Mexico desert was startling, to put it mildly. 4 Japanese cities had been deliberately spared from conventional bombing, so the bomb's effect could be accurately measured. Hiroshima is chosen first. Military headquarters, major port, industrial city, 250,000 population. August 6th, 1945. Hiroshima, the Enola Gay, Colonel Paul Tibbets commanding. At 8:15 a.m., little boy drops, 70,000 dead instantly, a fireball of 40,000 degrees, pressure wave, firestorm, black rain, buildings within a mile, vaporized, total deaths, approximately 140,000 by end of 1945. Japan does not immediately surrender. Military hardliners want to keep fighting. Even now, August 9th, 3 days later, the second bomb. Boxcar, Major Charles Sweeney commanding. Primary target, Kokura, covered by clouds, 3 passes, can't see the city. Secondary target, Nagasaki, 40,000 dead instantly, 80,000 total by year's end. The same day, the Soviet Union declares war on Japan, invades Manchuria. Japan's leadership understands. It's over. August 15th, 1945. Emperor Hirohito broadcasts to the Japanese people, for the first time in history, on the radio. The enemy has begun to employ a new and most cruel bomb. Japan surrenders. World War II is over. The scientists carry the weight of what they built for the rest of their lives. J. Robert Oppenheimer opposes the hydrogen bomb after the war. He's accused of being a security risk. His clearances revoked. His reputation destroyed in a 1954 hearing that many call a show trial. He spends his later years at Princeton, thinking, writing, living with what he helped create. He dies in 1967. Not until 2022 does the U.S. government officially exonerate him. Leo Szilard, who first conceived the nuclear chain reaction, spends the rest of his life fighting nuclear proliferation. Enrico Fermi dies of stomach cancer in 1954, possibly related to radiation exposure. The workers at Oak Ridge, mostly women from rural Tennessee, monitoring dials, turning valves, following procedures they didn't understand. They didn't know what they were making. When asked, supervisors said, "Whatever it is, it's going to help end the war." Sometime in August 1945, they understood, for the first time, what they had been making. Some were proud, it ended the war. Some were horrified, the pictures from Hiroshima. Most felt both, at the same time. That's the human legacy of the Manhattan Project. Pride and horror, achievement and guilt, the knowledge that science can save and destroy, sometimes simultaneously. The moral question has been debated for 80 years. Those who say it was right. The invasion would have cost more lives. The bomb ended the war quickly. The alternatives were worse. Those who say it was wrong. The bomb deliberately targeted civilians. Japan was already seeking a negotiated peace. Hiroshima and Nagasaki were not military targets. What is certain? The bomb killed 200,000 people, mostly civilians, in 2 days. What is also certain, the invasion of Japan, had it happened, would have killed millions. What remains uncertain? Was there a better alternative? These are the questions the Manhattan Project left behind. For every generation, the Manhattan Project accelerated science by decades. Nuclear reactors now power cities. Nuclear medicine treats cancer. Early computers were developed partly for bomb calculations, but the deepest legacy is something else. We live in the world the Manhattan Project created, a world with the power to end itself, a world that so far has chosen not to. But that choice must be made again, every generation, by every nation with the power. Robert Oppenheimer said after the war, "The physicists have known sin, and this is a knowledge which they cannot lose." He was right. The knowledge cannot be lost. The nuclear age cannot be undone. The Manhattan Project didn't just build a bomb. It built the world we live in, for better and for worse. Thank you for watching.